Bases dropped on a new round of SDH AM, and the hair is out of control. No matter what I do, it seems like I just can't get the hair to function, especially early in the morning during a holiday week. John, here you there. Thanks for dropping by, SDH AM. And today, we're going to keep an eye on what's going on in AFCON. If you missed our deep conversation that we had last night on soccer over there, you can go ahead and rewind and catch it, and you can go over what we did with all of the groups and all of the troubleshooting that we've got done there, who's going to make it through. I think that when you look at the teams that are here, once again, 4x6, 24 in, now I think that it's going to be a fairly chalky tournament. Now, I think that the teams, for the most part, I don't anticipate a whole lot of surprises. Maybe in seedings, maybe in a 2-3 someplace, but not necessarily looking at things to get completely out of control in one group. Morning, Abby, from the orange. It's not a vest. Come on, it's apron. From the orange apron location. Abby's getting stuff done at the Home Depot this morning. Updating you on AFCON, we had a 7:30 start this morning, 10 minutes to go, and Ivory Coast is leading Benin by the score of 1-0. And it was almost 2-0 at one point, but VAR pulled goal number 2 off the board. So Benin is chasing an equalizer with about 10.5 minutes plus any kind of added time to go. We'll go over juice boxes coming up in just a bit for the other 3 matches that are happening today, and we'll lay all of that out for you today as well. We got transfer rumors and reports and things like that to get into overseas, and we'll go over all of that, any of the news that we might have missed with players or anything like that with what happened yesterday. Here's the rundown for the rest of the week for those of you that might have missed it yesterday. So today is today. Ricky Lewis, the number 2 pick in the MLS SuperDraft. He's going to be joining us. We taped the interview yesterday, so that we're going to run that 10 o'clock to start hour number 2. And then that'll be the layout for today. We'll get you ready for all your AM news, get you ready for stories and AFCON and all that stuff. So that's going to be today. Tomorrow will be from a hotel room in Montgomery, Alabama, as will Friday, because the boss and I and the Rowdy Man are heading down to Montgomery for the holiday, and we will be down there later today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so Wednesday's show is going to be from a hotel room, and we're going to have Marketing and Branding 101. We're going to have that as a bit of a segment tomorrow. We're catching up with the folks from AC Boise as their build continues as they get ready for season number 1. We're going to find out what it takes and everything that went into the design of their jersey. And so they have kind of pulled back the curtain on us a little bit, and they're like, okay, hey, we'll walk through this, and we'll let you know kind of how we approached it and how things are going when it comes to not keeping it in the stores and everything else that's attached to that. So we'll have that tomorrow. We'll kind of go into a bit of a marketing and building 101 when you're building a franchise. And then also we're going to have Nico join us at 10:30. And since obviously Thursday's Power Hour is not happening on Thursday, so Nico's going to join us at 10:30 tomorrow. Nina's going to join us at 10 o'clock on Friday. And I will double check and see if that's okay with them again next week, because next Thursday is New Year's, and we're not doing a New Year's show. No show on Thursday, either this week or next. And then that way, once again, you can celebrate with your family, and you can go to Waffle House or do whatever. So Thursday, Christmas Day, no show. Wednesday, Christmas Eve Day, show. Day after Christmas, show. New Year's Eve Day, show. No show New Year's Day. January 2nd, show. So that's where we are. So no show this Thursday or next. Shows on Wednesday and Friday this week and next. And so that's where we are. So 83rd minute now, once again, Ivory Coast trying to go over the top and nothing happening. So it's still 1-0. So that's the rundown for today. Ricky Lewis at 10 o'clock. And then tomorrow, once again, we're going behind the scenes at AC Boise, and we will hear from Nico Moreno at 10:30. So that's the rundown that we've got for today. The Roots will be up at a point this week where we kind of take you around the world in 30 minutes. We're going to be stopping in places like Costa Rica. We're going to be stopping with Partizan Belgrade. in Serbia. We're going to catch up with them there, and we'll find out what's going on in a couple of other countries that we kind of examined, and we'll let you know what's going on with a bunch of different things. But we're going to spend a lot of time at the Apertura, the end of the Apertura in Costa Rica. So we'll have your highlights there. And also we're going to look at the second division in Turkey and what happens when you don't get paid. Teams middle of the table, one team in particular, wasn't getting paid and they weren't happy about it. And so it was a chance for them to kind of sit there and wave their hand in the air and go, we ain't happy about it. And it showed out on the pitch, and you will hear the call. Obviously, it's in Turkish, but nevertheless, you'll hear the call of a kickabout in the first minute from a team that got mad. So that's the rundown for today, tomorrow, and the rest of the week that we have here on the morning show. Abby's like, no, it's not. The Orange Apron place is not very busy. I can't say. Well, I mean, it's still early. And tell you what, we'll go ahead and let this roll into opening kickoff. This is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are hanging out with us. However, you're accessing this large device or small audio, video, or somewhere in between. Maybe you've got both of them fired up this morning. So what we want you to do is start the day. Sorry, I was staring at AFCON for a second. What we want you to do, we want you to go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Use that QR code. You work your way through that QR code. Start your day there and hit that QR code. We want you to buy out the store. And what you can do is you buy out the store, but you can do so at a 15% discount if you use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%. Reinvest at youth games, youth initiatives, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So my question for you this morning, I guess, is twofold. And I guess to be perfectly honest, it is one of those questions that, this time of year, you're kind of sitting there and you're going, this is what the deal is with any and all. I'm just, and Abby, I'm just not, the voice just isn't awake. I appreciate, I appreciate the looking after the pipes, but yeah, it's that time of year where everything just kind of crashes, and we're done with football season, and I'm not trying to yell. I don't want to, jump out of my shoes or anything like that, but not congested. Just the engine hasn't turned over yet to really get to full song. And also, maybe if I was to hydrate, maybe that would help out also. Couple of things. So if we take Bart's question from yesterday, and we'll let that kind of be the QOD for the week. We'll let that be the QOD for the week. What's your Atlanta United? If you could get a Christmas present, or what's your Atlanta United Christmas present? What would you give Atlanta United for Christmas, for the holidays? Abby could give 9 things to Atlanta United if she saw fit. So if you could give gifts to Atlanta United, what would they be? So that would be one QOD. That's one early part of everything. My second question is this. So if you were right now on the 23rd of December, if it was the 23rd of December, are you done? And I'll probably ask this again tomorrow. Are you done shopping? If you are chasing after the Christmas vacation and the Christmas gifting and all those kinds of things, are you done? I think I'm done. Not everything I don't believe has been delivered, but I think I'm done. And so we're to that particular point of the program where if things aren't going to get to their location in time, and this was a conundrum that the boss had this morning. It's something that she kind of faced this morning. So far, she has escaped it. So this time of year, we're at the mercy of the folks that ship us stuff. Ricky's been done for 2 weeks. Good on you, Ricky. Man, that's far better than me. So, Ricky being the intrepid producer that he is, yes, this is something that we're going to be getting into, because when they announce something on their website, it was it raised an eyebrow. It raised an eyebrow. So we will be getting into that this morning as well. So when you buy things for this time of year, when you buy things for this time of year, I talked about yesterday how I'm like a 12-month guy. If I see something in March and April, I'm going to get it in March and April. I'm going to hang on to it, and it's going to go on the other side of this door for those of you who are watching on the video side of things. For those listening just in audio form, if you aren't familiar with the layout of the office and the studio down here, it is the facilities that are off to my right, camera left. And behind that door is a shower that's not used except for storage. And there is a 5-shelf case that is inside the bathtub or shower, which is what it is, a shower. It's not necessarily a bathtub. Bathtub is part of it, but it is a shower combo. So there is a there's a 5-row storage shelf in the bathtub behind the shower curtain. And that's where I kind of hide things, and people aren't allowed to go in here. Or if they do, they're not allowed to roll back the shower curtain. So that's where a lot of the stuff is. And then as I'm starting to send out boxes and things like that, then I'll look and I'll go, okay, so this was for so-and-so, this was for so-and-so, and that. I do that for 12 months out of the year. So find something in March and April, I hide it. And then I hope to God I remember who it's for. So I think I'm done. But I think there might be a thing or two that is still out in the ether that has to be shipped to me to satisfy all of the gifting and all of that stuff. If you are, in fact, one of those folks that kind of waits toward the end of everything and it doesn't show up, how do you handle it? And this was the boss's conundrum that she had this morning. And she was trying to figure out, okay, how do I do something where it's not there? Because she herself admitted that she hates to print out what the gift is and just have, like a color printout of the gift. Hey, this is coming, because of the frailties and the failties of the shipping system with the whatever entity that you are paired with the particular item. So when you have something that doesn't show, when it's not going to get there in time, when it's not there in time, what do? Do you sit there and do you go, here's a printout. Hey, look what I got, because it really does. If you think about it, it really makes you feel like an idiot, because you think you have it spaced out and through no fault of your own, it's not going to get there. And so you feel like you kind of let the whole process down. You've mistimed the whole thing. And the individual that is going to be on the end of the color printout doesn't rate. So, no, I understand where the boss is coming from. But I was not aware if, what any of you guys do when it comes to not having something show up in time and then try and figure out, okay, how are we going to rectify the situation to make sure that everything is going to be okay. 10 minutes added for Ivory Coast and Benin. Wow. Ivory Coast trying to kill another 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Looks like they're doing it so far. I like the sky blue Ivory Coast jerseys. That was actually pretty sweet. So what do? I mean, because there is a feeling of an inadequacy that is attached in these situations. So what do? Do you sit there and not wrap anything? Tell that individual, hey, there's something else coming. Don't, it's coming. I got it for you. I'm not telling you a fib. It's coming. I've got it. It just isn't here. It turns into a New Year's gift or something like that. Do you go that direction? Or do you sit there and do the color printout and go, okay, you put it in a folder or whatever, in an envelope, or fold it 3 times, fold it in thirds, put it in a little envelope, put the envelope in a box or something? Or do you, do the full color printout, put it in a folder, put the folder in a box, and then the box gets wrapped? How do you handle something not happening on time? That's the biggest question. How do you handle something that's not going to be here on time? Do you just sit there and not wrap anything and just sit there and go, yeah, it's coming here? Or do you wrap something with the color printout or some kind of representation of that gift, and then that way that person knows what's coming, even though it isn't there yet? That's my biggest question. I mean, I don't know how many of you are faced with this crisis during this time of year, and how do you handle it if you are? So that was kind of my big question. The boss kind of raised it this morning, and so I was like, okay, so is she alone in this? And what is her tack compared to everyone else's? It does, because like I said, she wants to show that this is what it is, almost to the point to showing the purchase order and how much it costs and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where she's wired in this. She wants to go right up to the edge without telling the individual how much was spent or what it is, and where it is lost in the ether. But she wants to go full blown photo. Here's the deal. Here's what it is. It's coming, and don't worry about it. Or do you even sit there and you two put in a blank piece of paper and go, yes, you have one more gift coming. This is the physical representation of that gift. I'm not telling you what the gift is. You'll like it. But basically, blank sheet of paper, folded in thirds in an envelope, blank sheet of paper, extended fully, put in a folder, both of those put in a box. So how do you handle your adversity when it comes to something not happening on time? That's the question this morning. And for those of us who handle adversity as much as humanly possible, the idea is trying to figure out where all of this stuff lands. And so that was the larger uh, the larger point in all of this. So that was the big question that the boss had this morning. It's like, okay, so where do we go from here? Where do we go from here, and how do we get out of this mess? Is kind of where we were at. So that's where we are. So that's the question of the day. Morning, Knicks. So that's the QOD. That's one of the QODs. Abby's looking for a reliable striker. She would gift, if she were Soccer Santa, she would give Atlanta United. And what we might do is just go ahead and open it up to any club whatsoever. So if you were Soccer Santa, what would you deliver to a club? Let's do that. We'll do that today and tomorrow. If you were Soccer Santa, what would you deliver to a club in particular? And like I said, I mean, it could be a zonk, like it was on Let's Make a Deal. If it's an up and up gift, if it's a lump of coal, whatever that lump of coal would represent for a club. So we'll open that up. So if you were Soccer Santa, what would you give or gift to a club in particular? And if it's a lump of coal, let me know what that lump of coal is. Ivory Coast over the top through the 6, and Benin tracks it down. So they've got 3 minutes and 40 seconds basically to try and find an equalizer, trying to go long and bomb it forward, and nothing happening there. All right, so Ricky would give Celtic a stress ball. So that's so soccer. We'll do Soccer Santa today and tomorrow, and then on Friday we'll see if everybody got their pony on Friday morning show. So that is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com, and you hit the QR code right here. Start your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You hit that QR code, you go into Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com, and you end up with buying out the entire store. We want you to do that because you can buy out the entire store, and you can get it at a 15% discount if you use the code SOCCERDOWNHERE15 at checkout. Then what the folks at Kickoff Coffee will do is take 10%, reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives that they have earmarked as cool. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay. A couple of things in this morning, and Ricky being the intrepid producer that he is, there was some stuff that was kind of poking around on the interwebs, and it looks like Colorado might be going through something akin to a rebrand. So as of yesterday, they're launching a campaign, possibly, probably, maybe, perhaps, having to do with their yearly fan survey, game day experience, and they're going to test the waters about making brand changes. Braden Nurse, among others, were kind of keeping an eye on things. And so yesterday, the Rapids said on their webs that they were kind of thinking, with the state coming up to its 150th, the Sesquisemiquincentennial, I believe, coming up to that point of their lifetime, they were thinking the 30, and they're talking 30th anniversary match and all this kind of stuff. So they decided, as a part of their survey, to look back at primary and secondary going back to 96. Here's the primary and here's the secondary from 96. I didn't realize that there was a secondary crest that looked the way that it did for their first 10 years. And then you have the Rapids diamond and the circular C, somewhat resembling the state of Colorado on the state flag. And so there's a fan survey that's out there. Which crest and colors best represents the club's visual identity? And I know that a lot of folks are going to sit there and they're going to look at that first logo of 96 and then maybe pair it with the second logo from 2007. And so they have a survey. You click through it, and it's the One Club, One Legacy project, built on principles of the One Club ethos. Part of their ongoing dialogue, asking for input on the club's identity. Feedback is going to help shape the next steps. Input and participation drives the club the next 30 years or beyond. So let's take this survey. Do you consider yourself a fan of the Rapids? Do you currently have or lived in the state of Colorado? And so we can't just buzz through the survey. You actually have to answer the questions. I would have liked to have just buzzed through the survey, because then now you have to give answers to questions, and you're trying to figure out what in the heck is going on. So, and this is, Ricky, I'm going to save your comments and Nick's comments here in a sec. So I'll go ahead and answer the survey as genuinely as I can here. So do I consider myself a fan of the Rapids? See, this is the thing, is like, since we're filling this out as a morning show, I mean, we're not really Rapids fans. How do we answer this? Do we answer this genuinely? Sit there and go, yeah, we're a fan of the Rapids. We're a fan of what you do. We're not a fan of the club, maybe. So, all right. So what we will do, we will be the personification of an individual that is a fan of the Colorado Rapids. We are a fan of what they're trying to do on the field. How about that? So then we go, yes. And do you currently live, or have you previously lived in Colorado? No. That we can answer honestly. What's your age? 712. Actually, no, I have to do that. How would you best, and then would you do that? You can answer that one. Which best describes you? You get into the let's see, languages spoken in your home. How long have you lived in Colorado? I already answered that I don't live in Colorado. When did you become a Rapids fan? We'll say from the absolute beginning. Current primary crest. So traditional versus modern. Rate the current primary crest. I'm about to say quest. Rate the crest. So we'll go mid-ground. Quiet versus loud. Local versus global. Gloomy versus cheery. Fits in versus stands out. Party versus battle. It's very party or very battle. I've never known party and battle to be anything that's attached to adjectives. Party or battle. I'm very battle today. I'm very party today. I'm very battle today. I've never heard, literally, and that's your extreme in one of these questions. Literally, I'm either very party or very battle. I don't know if that is a Colorado thing or not. But party versus battle. I've never had those as options before. Current secondary crest. Goodness gracious. I keep wanting to say quest, and that's not correct. That's not correct. I feel like Elmer Fudd all of a sudden. DR Congo gets the win, by the way, to minus 161. They won 1-0 over Benin. Senegal and Botswana kick off in a half an hour. Senegal's a minus 833. Draws a plus 740, Botswana's a plus 2240 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Nigeria, Tanzania is at 1230. And we'll go back over these odds as when we're done for today. Nigeria, Tanzania minus 244. Draw is plus 312. Tanzania is a plus 785. And at 3 o'clock, Tunisia, Uganda. Tunisia is a minus 149. Draws a plus 234. And Uganda is a plus 500. So those currently are your juice boxes looking at what's happening in AFCON today. So DR Congo gets full points. It was almost 2. VAR pulled the second goal off the board, and it was a 1-0 win. That's all you need. Rating the Rapids' current secondary crest, traditional versus modern. See, under normal circumstances, if I was a fan, I would sit there and say, I like that a lot better because it represents, it's off of the state flag, quiet versus loud, local versus global, gloomy versus cheery, fits in versus stands out, party versus battle. Party versus battle. Original primary crest. See, I almost said quest. Original primary quest. Man, I'm having problems this morning. And I'll get you once again. It's the original, traditional versus modern, quiet versus loud, local versus global. What I'm doing on purpose is I'm doing middle for all of these. So that way it's not a reflection one way or the other. I'm doing neutral grades all the way through, but I'm going through all the questions. Fits in versus stands out, and party versus battle. It's very party. Very battle. Rawr! I think that's the only thing that's missing. Original secondary quest. This is one of the four. This is the one of the four that I don't like. Original secondary crest. Traditional versus modern, quiet versus loud, but I'm still marking mid-ground because we're just in here to fill out the survey. Local versus global, gloomy versus cheery, fits in versus stands out, and party versus battle. Man, I swear to God, I've never heard of anything being very battle. Very battle. You look very battle today. Which of these crests best represents the Rapids? I'm going to go original primary because I'm old. And then they're asking you why. So I'm going to say you always go with your first thoughts on a question. You always go with your first answer, because if you're thinking about it, then you're questioning yourself. And so I'm just saying, basically, to fill out the survey, always go with your first thoughts on any question. Therefore, it's the original primary quest. Jeez, I'm going to get stuck in that all day. Original primary crest. And I almost spelled quest. Unbelievable. Wow. Which of these crests or logos shapes best represents the club? Well, I mean, it would have to be the original primary. So I'm just going to continue saying the same thing over and over. See above. Which of these colors best represents the club? I'll go with a cobalt. I'll go with that. But no, if you're going with the original, then you got to go with the green. Once again, see above. So there you go. So you get to choose what color you think best represents it, which crests, logos, or shapes best represent it, and which crest best represents. And so, like I said, I'm going all originals. And okay, so next page. How do you feel about the name Colorado Rapids? It's part of our history. It's unique to us. It should be updated to reflect European monikers, FC Sporting or Inter. I dislike it and prefer it to be changed to something new. I like it, and it should be kept. Other, please specify. So we'll go, it's part of our history. So it was either going to be that or, I like it and it should be kept. I mean, because I'm thinking favorite memory as a Rapids fan. Let's see. The favorite memory as a Rapids fan. What can we put in here? So hang on. Let's see. Open Cup. I have a memory in mind. And let's see if it is a correct. Let's see if it's correct. Yes. So the Silverbacks win over the Rapids in the Open Cup 5th round. That's what it would be for me. So that's what I would end up doing is the but if I put in there the Silverbacks beating the Rapids in the Open Cup in the chaos where the Silverbacks were down to 9 and you're having stuff being sent up from the stands down to a cell phone down on the field to an equipment manager because you had coaches tossed. By the way, that game, the 2014 Open Cup game with Silverbacks, that's on YouTube. So I would recommend watching it. But we got to come up with something else that's a favorite memory of the Colorado Rapids. So let's do this. Let's do day one because it meant that pro soccer was coming to Colorado. Was coming to Colorado. Okay, so there we go. That's the favorite memory as a Rapids fan. So finish. Thank you for taking time to complete the survey. Okay, so that's what the survey was. It was fairly innocuous. So here's so Ricky. Ricky goes, I swear if they go Colorado FC or FC Colorado, they'll go on the naughty list. Well, absolutely. I mean, to your point, it's a Colorado Rapids. Awesome. Doesn't need changing. And I'll agree with you here. That it literally is. You don't mess with it. It's got not everything has to be FC, SC, Inter, because that one question that was in the survey of should it be rebranded for European monikers, Inter, FC, and no. Not everything has to be that way. I mean, there are some of the best nicknames out there in soccer that have nothing to do with FC, SC, Inter, whatever. There are some of the best ones out there that have nothing to do with that kind of identification. And I know that here in the States, we're used to the idea of first name, last name. It doesn't have to be, generic. It doesn't have to be FC, SC, Inter, Sporting, what have you. And besides, Sporting already exists in Kansas City. What's the why would you want to, in continuing the interstate system from Kansas into Colorado, why would you want to have two states that have teams that are locked into the idea of looking and feeling the same way? Makes zero sense. So you got a Sporting Kansas City, so let's go Sporting Colorado. No. You don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. But you put that out there as part of your survey anyway. It does not need changing. Ricky, you are absolutely 120% correct. Does not need changing at all. Colorado, I think if you see, and this is the thing that gets me, considering I'm 712 years old, I like the original logo. But I don't know if it has its place today in what Colorado Rapids might want to do with their new look. If in honor of the Sesquicentennial, if you did something, literally, I don't know if you need, and this is to Nix's point, feeling like every rebrand in the last 10 years has not gone well, and Nix extends it to or ever. So, and that's the thing. So here's the idea from Ricky once again. It's a perfect complement to Denver Summit. So literally, you have, well, the Summit would be the perfect complement to the Rapids because they were there first. But you have the idea of something that is attached to your geography that it draws people to it. It's like, yeah, we went out and we navigated the rapids today. We went out in our boats and canoes, and we sat there and we went on top of the rapids, climbed the summit, conquered the rapids. That's Colorado. That's not something that you want to sit there and mess with. I think you're good. Maybe if you want to do, and this is what I would do. I would do something along the lines in the Sesquicentennial. What I would do is I would probably do something like a third jersey, because you get the home and away. I think what you probably should do. I don't think you need to like rebrand. I think if you did a Sesquicentennial jersey that showed off Colorado in the Sesquicentennial, and I mean, and I would, I imagine. See now you got my spidey senses going here. Okay, Let's see if I could spell Sesquicentennial. I think, no, I was close before other fingers got in the way. Okay, so Colorado Sesquicentennial. Do they have its own website? So America 250, Colorado 150 commemoration. They do. Okay, so Colorado Department of Agriculture, and this is just the first thing I clicked on. Together in 26, Colorado and America celebrate our Sesquisemiquincentennial. Holy crap. Okay, so literally this is what they're calling it. They're calling it the Sesquisemiquincentennial. God, that's a mouthful. Because they're celebrating America 250 and Colorado 150 at the same time. Literally, I'm going to put the word here. Colorado is celebrating their Sesquisemiquincentennial. Greetings, Joe. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Joe Johnston, everybody. Long time no talk. All right, so that is what Colorado is celebrating. Legitimately, they are celebrating the Sesquisemiquincentennial. And this coming from a guy that was having problems talking about Quest and Crest this morning in Colorado. So what I would have done is have a third jersey, and on the back, up and down the arms from one side to the other, maybe as your warm-up jersey. Along the back, you go from elbow to elbow, and you spell Sesquisemiquincentennial. 26, and everybody wears a 26. So next season for your warm-up jersey at home, you have the Sesquisemiquincentennial practice jersey. Everybody's wearing a Sesquisemiquincentennial jersey during warm-ups, and it's got a 26 on the back. So now what we got to do, we got to figure out all of the things that are attached. And we might have a new keeper. So Ricky in the Five Stripes Don't Stop department, along with Rich, keeping an eye on that. So, and apparently we have to remind Rich of the Five Stripes Don't Stop element in all of this. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on top of the hour. Traditionally, when these Five Stripes Don't Stop tweets are available, then that means that something's going on, and to keep an eye on it for the top of the hour. So Atlanta United has a cryptic tweet out in the Five Stripes Don't Stop department. And so Rich, as we sit here and we try to solve Colorado's problems and look at Atlanta's. So let's take a look at the cryptic tweet. Mate hitting different this morning. I'm guessing okay, so we got Mate, and we have an Argentine flag. Rich, the whole thing involving the Five Stripes Don't Stop got me trying to figure out the Five Stripes Don't Stop posts. We can give Darren Eels all the credit. How do we in some way generate interest on social media for any kind of a club edition or a club event or a club moment? And so literally with Darren Eels, it was Five Stripes Don't Stop. You know, how do we promote this player? How do we give a cryptic tweet about who's coming in? Those kinds of things. So keep an eye out. We'll keep an eye out at the top of the hour. Traditionally, that's how this works. Like 9:30 is when this stuff goes down, and then traditionally at 9:34 was when it went down. So it might be 10:05. And then you have the yin and the yang for your hot water machine. So you have to look at all of the elements that are attached to it. But yes, Darren Eels was big into the Five Stripes Don't Stop moniker and bringing in of talent and having people guess and freak out. When you've got boats and things. You know, what's it looking? Oh, it's a boat? It's Barco. You know, one of those kind of things. So that's what it looks like. So it looks like something's going to happen top of the hour as people are prepping their mate at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. So, we're going to try, and we're workshopping fixing Colorado Rapids Sesquisemiquincentennial jerseys. So there is an actual America 250 Colorado 150 commission And I would probably do something Stars and Barsy in Colorado-ish or something like that to celebrate 250, 150 because they've got a coffee table book, harvest table dinners, those kinds of things. But yes, there is a commemoration, the Sesquicentennial for Colorado and the semi-quincentennial, half of 500. And so what they've done is the state of Colorado has combined the two into a crest that has both stars and bars and the Colorado sun and the overlapping Red Sea. So that's what you're staring at with that. So that's where I would have gone. Maybe try to come up with a color scheme, something in there, but the Sesquisemiquincentennial, the 250, 150, where the state of Colorado has thought this through. I'm thinking somewhere in those colors for a warm-up jersey. I don't think you have to do complete and total blowing up of everything and the rebranding and all that kind of stuff. But Colorado seems to want to go down this road. Just don't change Colorado Rapids. Don't change Colorado Rapids. That's where I would be going. And Abby was looking for names for the NWSL team. I think Jarrett was on the right track here. If you go off of Apollo and you go Apollo Athena, that's where I would have gone. Apollo Athena. That's kind of where I was staring. Yeah, and legitimately, Ricky has a point here. Summit Rapids. I mean, literally the highs and the fabric. I mean, literally, it's like the mountains and the rivers, the land and the sea, the ocean or the water and the earth. I mean, literally, you can't get any better when it comes to those two for that state. I think for that state, you smashed it. Summit Rapids, you got it. You're done. Just figure out your color schemes. But I think that's just whatever you do, don't change Colorado Rapids. Don't do it. So, you switched to Twitch instead of Twitter. There you go. And yeah, and Rich, I'm right there with you. It is too early for me. That's why I defer to everybody else. Rich says, I know they're riddles. It's just too early for me to figure out before your coffee. I'm right there with you. I mean, look, that's why I have this here every morning. So I can try and be in line with everybody else and figure out what the heck's going on. So you just got an email asking that to you? Okay. Joe's coming in on fire this morning. You have to check the email. So 17, check your emails. But yeah, traditionally, when you have something happening in the 9:30 half hour, keep an eye out half hour later for those kinds of announcements and see what it looks like for Atlanta United. So Atlanta United, Mate, Argentina, all the things. So keep an eye out for that particular notification coming up. But once again, top of the hour, once again, match day 3, and you end up with game number 2, match day 3 in AFCON. We'll keep an eye on that as we go here this morning. Also in hour number 2, after we go through the anticipated announcement from Atlanta United, both whatever player that is going to be at shortly after 10 o'clock, we would anticipate. Then we'll get into our interview with Ricky Lewis, the number 2 overall pick from the SuperDraft out of Georgia Southern, heading to FC Dallas. We caught up with him yesterday, so that'll be in hour number 2 as we get you ready for an apparent, possible, probable 5 stripes don't stop moment coming up shortly after 10 o'clock. So, okay, so Joe says it was an email asking thoughts. 1, the idea for what the NWSL team should represent, team name, and how much it should be aligned with Atlanta United. Well, I would anticipate color scheme would be similar because of what we saw on the reveal. And I am not a person that traditionally wears white. I'm really not. But when it comes to wearing, literally Atlanta United has turned it into a situation for me where I legitimately will wear white. And I don't know why it is, but I legitimately will wear white because of what Atlanta United has pieced together. And so I would continue to wear the white, even if I'm, having the daylight scared out of me by not trying to eat anything while I'm wearing white. But yeah, legitimately, I wear white things now that have ties to Atlanta United. NWSL Atlanta 28, got it. Atlanta United stuff, got it. When you see me at Mercedes Benz and I'm wearing white, it's just one of those combinations that they have figured out, whether it's white or cream or what have you. I'm wearing white because of what Atlanta United has pieced together. So, it's what they've been able to do with their branding and their color schemes and everything. They've hit it out of the park. And Nick started filling it out and didn't finish, and so he was analysis paralysis. So yes, it should be obviously aligned with Atlanta United. I don't think Uncle Arthur would have brought it online if they weren't. What they should represent: the growth of the game in the epicenter of U.S. soccer, be a flag bearer for everything going forward when it comes to U.S. soccer. I mean, you're at the epicenter. I wouldn't call them like the center or the epis or anything, but I think Apollo Athena, I think that was the right path. I think Jarrett was onto something. So I would go in that direction. And so we'll see where NWSL Atlanta 28 goes from here. But yeah, I think the color scheme's fine. I'd love to see a black jersey as an alternate, just to kind of have the where you'd have it might be more of the red and the beige and the white than it would be the black. So I would probably have the black as the alternate jersey for a NWSL Atlanta Team 17. So that's where I would go. Color scheme should be relatively the same. Should be the same colors representing NWSL Atlanta as do Atlanta United. That's a slam dunk for me. What should it represent? Should represent growth of the game. Should represent being the epicenter of U.S. soccer and not being afraid to take over the world from the absolute zero. So that's what to me it would represent. So I would probably go Athena, what we represented, and yes, color scheme fairly close, not necessarily identical 5-stripe city unless you wanted to go that way, but I would say something close, not identical but close when it comes to representation, color scheme, what have you. So that would be the quick riff for me on these kinds of things. And so Joe said it went out everybody who had signed up as a founding member. So let's see. And then Abby, teams that move should have to change their name. She's not a fan of the Utah Jazz. City should keep the name if the team moves, and the team has to change names. Well, I mean, so then Abby would be by default not a fan of the Los Angeles Lakers, considering they started in Minneapolis. What are the other weird ones that a team moves and you're sitting there and you're going, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, the two biggest ones would be, for me, the Jazz and the Lakers. Jazz and the Lakers started in New Orleans and in Minneapolis, St. Paul, or Minneapolis technically. So the Lakers would have to change and the Jazz would have to change. So that's kind of where we would be with the teams in their absolute cities. Nick still has his tab open, so we'll see if it. Well, I mean, the gold was what I was gunning for. Yeah, I guess it's more of a gold for me. I mean, it looked kind of more of a. It wasn't a sharp gold. It was kind of more like an old gold, like a Georgia Tech kind of gold. And that's why I was leaning toward the beige, and I use the word beige. So for me, it would be something old gold to go with the sharp red and the sharp black, somewhere in there. But I would have like a road white, because we've seen with Atlanta United too, when they go on the road and they've got that road white, how sharp it can be. So I would say for NWSL Atlanta, go road white with your old gold red and black piping, something like that. That's what I would do. And then you come home and you have the home red, and then it would be the same old gold and black piping that we see with Atlanta United. but maybe there's some white in there somewhere as a third stripe or a fifth stripe, because if you did one stripe of red, two stripes of black, and then white, then that would be your 5 stripes. Something like that. As we sit here and we're workshopping uniforms that are like 2.5 years away. Yeah, Arizona Cardinals. Well, yeah, but I mean, are there any Cardinals in? But I would think that if there are Cardinals, maybe they're in Arizona. I don't know. And then you have, and Abby was like Indianapolis Colts. So Indianapolis Colts, but I mean, you still have horses in Indiana. So if it's indigenous, I get it. Like I said, if it's indigenous to it with the Jazz and the King and with the Jazz and the Lakers, I could understand, if needing them to change because it's not indigenous to that particular territory. So, yeah, like the Kings kit, the white with gold piping. Yeah, yes, and Abby, the biggest thing, Abby makes the point. Numbers you can read in names, because being up in the booth at Mercedes-Benz trying to read those numbers that you can't does not do a service to a broadcaster. Doesn't do a service for television, doesn't do service for radio. Does not either way. So the biggest thing that a broadcaster would sit here and say is this: make sure I can read the back. Give me names and numbers I can read. Because seriously, there are times, and you can ask Jason, you can ask Maddie, ask me, ask Mike. Look, you're reading names, you're reading numbers and uniforms where you have a slight variant on the color of the jersey that might be a slight tweak, different shading, but the same kind of thing. And if you can't read a name and a number, you're guessing. And you're not doing the game any good. You're not doing the fan any good. So my number one thing for NWSL Atlanta 28, Team 17, please give jerseys home and away where the announcers can read the names and the numbers. Names and numbers. We need to see them. If we were asked, even though I know we're not, hey, announcer, what would you do for your uniform priority? Literally, we would sit there and so make it look cool. This is what we would say. Make it look cool, because odds are we'd probably buy it. But at the same time, we got to be able to read it. And especially if they're playing in Mercedes-Benz in front of 43,000, which they will, we got to see the names and the numbers on the back. We got to, because of that position of the box being slightly away from the corner flag down at about the 20-yard line. You got to be able to see it down to the other side. Please, please, please make that happen. That's my number one thing. I know you can crush the layout, but just make it look readable on the back. Number, name. Number, name. We need to know subs. We need to know names. We need to know numbers. Don't do a shade off a shade. Don't do white on white outlined in gold. Absolutely true. Yes, white on white outlined in gold or light blue. Ay. Man, that's the thing. It's like you're trying to do a service. You're trying to give the game the respect it deserves in a call. And if you can't see the name and if you can't see the number, then you're guessing. And if you're around a team, you're only guessing half the time because you know who that individual is. So that's the key in all of this. Make it readable. We have to be able to read the back, because not every joint is going to be 15, 18,200 level or just above the 100 level where you can see what's going on. That's the key here. You're going to be in the 300 level. If you're an announcer, if you're at Mercedes-Benz, you got to see from the 300 level who's doing what. Bring it all forward. We know you'll crush it. It'll look fantastic, and the name will be amazing. But just let the announcers look at the back and see a number and see a name. That's all I want. Looks like Abby and Joe have said it's got to be a darker gold. I know, and that's the antique old gold kind of thing. But yeah, Abby's like they're going to be looking for, they're going to be looking for. You guys need to just mock this up. Abby and Joe have gone off and they're making their own jerseys. Mock these up, so we can see what you're talking about. That's the biggest thing. Mock them up, so we can see what's going on. That would be the biggest thing for me. Yes, I know that it's going to look great, and I know that it's going to be fantastic. But the biggest thing is just to make sure that those of us here can read it. Please. Let us read, let us read, let us read. So legitimately. When you need him, where are they? So that's just, I'm going to love the design. Let me know ahead of time. Oh, top of the hour, we got a bot. We absolutely got a bot. Colorful cassette. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, colorful cassette. You're getting blocked. And you're getting reported. So we are reporting colorful cassette, whatever the VCST3. Sorry, colorful cassette. You're getting reported. Viewer solicitation bot. There we go. 23 characters out of 2,000. Report submitted, and we're off and running. So there you go. So so Rich wants to know what the Atlanta United jersey fail was. So I will leave that to y'all. I'm a sucker. I like pretty much all of them. So I like the concrete and cherry pie version. A lot of folks are sitting there saying concrete and strawberry. For me, it was concrete and cherry pie. I like that. And I liked the 404 kit. I liked that because it was different. And the sky blue resurgence kit, I like that. See, like I said, I'm a sucker. You make something that looks cool, I'm going to pick it up. So that for me is but I know that a lot of folks, Rich, may say the 404 kit, and that would be, but like I said, I liked that. And Joe is going, I can't believe they didn't do the eye with one or the other. And so apparently so, as we hit the refresh button, it is now officially official. Let me see if it's officially official. I'm waiting for like press releases and stuff. So there we go. It is up and running. And so you know what that means. That we have to hit a particular sounder because it's a fact. Lucas Hoyos, officially official. Keeper Lucas Hoyos is signed on a free through the 26th season, options for 27 and 27-28. So Lucas Hoyos, officially official. And the rundown on Lucas Hoyos, for those that may not know, spent the previous 3 seasons at Newell's Old Boys, occupying an international roster spot pending the receipt of his ITC, his international trade certificate, and a transfer certificate in his P1 visa. Quote from Hendy, we're pleased to sign Lucas. Look forward to welcoming him to the club. A goalkeeper with a lot of experience in South America, leader of the backline, familiar with Tata's style of play. Lucas will bring the competition and leadership to our young goalkeeping group as we continue to strengthen our roster this offseason. Hoyos 36, 341 career appearances, 135 clean sheets across all comps, including Argentine first and second divisions, Copa Libertadores, Sudamericana, wearing the captain's armband for Vélez Sarsfield and Newell's Old Boys. Joins Atlanta after spending the last 3 seasons with Newell's, the club where he progressed through the academy before making his first division debut in 14. 63 appearances in all comps from 23 to 25, 7 appearances in the Copa Sudamericana, where Newell's advanced to the round of 16. 137 appearances, 53 clean sheets, all comps, Vélez Sarsfield, 18 to 22. 19 appearances in Libertadores, 4 appearances in Copa Sudamericana. 13 matches, second half of 18-19 Superliga, 19 matches during the 19-20 Superliga, as Vélez finished third in the league table, advanced to the semis of the 2020 Copa Sudamericana. 24 starts as Vélez Sarsfield, finished fifth in league, advanced to the 21 Copa Libertadores round of 16. During the 22 season, made a combined 43 appearances in all comps, leading Vélez to the semis of the 22 Copa Libertadores. After progressing through the youth ranks at Newell's, he went on to loan to a second division side, Gimnasia y Esgrima, from 12 through 14. 12 clean sheets and 21 appearances, briefly returned to Newell's, made his first division debut in 14 before transferring to Instituto Atlético Central Córdoba. 66 appearances, all comps, 15-16. Following season, made the move back to the first division with Atlético de Rafaela. 26 appearances, returned to Instituto for 17-18. Another 26 appearances for the club before a move back to the first division with Vélez. And so it's officially official. Officially official. You have the new older keeper to be there as mentor and or challenge for Jaden Hibbert. So that is now officially official. Lucas Hoyos comes in, and we will. Let me see if there's anything in the. Let me check and see if there's anything in the stat sheets that we have not been able to mention. So Lucas Hoyos still listed as Newell. So Transfermarkt hadn't caught up yet. So yeah, contract expires in 8 days technically with Newell's. So Lucas Hoyos is coming in from there. So stats, all seasons, and we have the all seasons overview. So let's see, nothing in the Clausura yet. Projection Clausura had the 1 start. And what is that? Oh, clean sheet. So he had no goals. Okay. So 1 start, 1 clean sheet in the Copa Proyección Clausura. 14 starts in 24 with Newell's. What is that? Yeah, appearances. 15 appearances. 15 appearances. No, 14. You had it right the first time. 14 appearances, Copa Argentina, Liga Profesional. It was 5 clean sheets, 8 clean sheets in 24. 22 clean sheets across all comps in 23 in 48 appearances, all comps. 22 Liga Profesional. It was 18, 29, 43 appearances in the 22 calendar year, and he had 13 clean sheets. And so, yeah, you have the Newell's run in the Aperture, then you have Copa Argentina for Gimnasia y Esgrima, back to Newell's, then to Instituto ACC, then from there to Atlético de Rafaela for 26, back to Instituto, then it goes to Vélez Sarsfield, where he was from 18 all the way through the 22 calendar year, and then Newell's, and that's where he's been. So that is your Lucas Hoyos breakdown of where he's been and what he's doing. So market value, once again, and this is just the random number that's assigned by Transfermarkt. So Hoyos coming in on a free had a value, according to Transfermarkt, of 150,000 euros. So that was his current value for from Transfermarkt. So that's the rundown of Lucas Hoyos. Injury history, just so we've got it out there. It is 24-25. He had a bit of he had 3 injuries and he missed 40 matches, most of it with Newell's. Knee injuries, muscle bundle, and a calf. And so it was So he's coming off of a cruciate ligament tear in November of 24, and so he's 2 months back from that. So he'll be challenging Jaden Hibbert for the number one spot. He'll be there for he'll be there for the senior leadership, and he'll be there to challenge Hibbert going forward for all of this. So Lucas Hoyos, right now 36, coming in at 1.83 meters. And he is going to be there to challenge Jaden Hibbert. So the question that was in the grid, and Nick, this is the thing. I don't think that Jaden gets moved, because remember, Jaden is under contract at a good number. So MLS, GAM, what did I see? The GAM profiles. There we go. The club profiles. Yeah, club profiles with GAM PDF. And so this is the spring of 25. But Jaden, and we need the other one. I don't need this one. Jaden had option years for 26, 7, and 8, and it was on a pretty decent number. So let's see. September 2025 MLS GAM. That's what I'm looking for. So notable schedule release, roster profiles. 2025 GAM figures in 24. That's not what I'm looking for. Here we go. Full club breakdown. I need to click to the link as opposed to what Major League Soccer is like. You can go here and then you can click on it. No, I need to just click on it. So, looking at the contracts that were there, this is not what I needed. So this is me trying to find something that I thought I needed and I thought I clicked on, but I didn't. So, regular season schedule unveiling, schedule, 25 and 26. But all right, so maybe if I just do this, if I do a Jaden Hibbert search, let's see, ATLUTD. So Jaden had 3 option years after 26 that were attached to Atlanta United. So 2025 international career, not what I'm looking for. So I'm 2 for 2. All right. So what if we go here? Clutch and Matchday 31. Okay, I'm like 3 for 3. But anyway, the number that Jaden Hibbert was attached to was a pretty decent number when it comes to salary. And of course, when I'm not looking for it is when I'll find it. So MLS players. So if we go to the salary guide for the MLS PA, right now, if you go Jaden Hibbert, and give me Jaden Nelson first. Jaden Hibbert right now is on a base salary as of October 1st of $80,622. He's on a rookie min deal. And to have someone that has that kind of a salary number in a cap league is something that you can hang on to. And we've known what Jaden can bring to the table. So, I mean, if you want to look at it as like an Ustari Rocco Rios Novo situation, you can, but we've seen what Jaden Hibbert brings to the table. And when you bring in a Lucas Hoyos, who will be that 36-year-old that you have, remember, you're going to have cup competition. You're going to have stuff outside of Major League Soccer. You're going to be going after other tournaments as well. And you're going to need that depth, because remember, of the schedule compression that is attached in 2026 because of World Cup, you're going to have compression. You're going to have other tournaments. And so you're going to need that experienced keeper to lay it all out for you as that A or B or whatever you want to lay it out as. So you're going to have schedule compression. So as you laid out the schedule for 26, so just to give you an idea as to what you need in this schedule, because of that World Cup being right there in the middle of everything, you're going to need an A and you're going to need a B. So you're fine in February and March. April, you've got one period of 3 matches in 8 days. You have Atlanta Nashville at Mercedes-Benz, Atlanta New England at Mercedes-Benz, and then you go to BMO. 18th, 22nd, 25th of April. Then in May, you're okay. So in everything leading up to the World Cup break, May 24th, last game, you only have that one opportunity where you have schedule compression. But remember, once again, you're juggling this with other competitions too. You come back in July, you've got 3 matches in 9 days to finish the month. In August, you've got an international break, but then you come back and you have 4 matches in 2 weeks, 15th, 19th, 23rd, 29th. So you've got that. So you have 3 and 8 days, and then you've got 1 to wrap up the month of August. September, 5th, 9th, 12th, 19th, 26th. So you have that 1 window there as well. October, 3 matches in 8 days. Atlanta, Cincinnati, Atlanta at Montreal, Atlanta, Messi and friends, 10, 14, 17, 3 in a week, and you have 2 of them at home. Cincinnati visits, you go to Montreal midweek, then you come back and you're playing Messi and friends. 24th, 28th is another run where it is 3 matches, 8 days. Chicago visits you, you go to NYC, Toronto comes to visit you November 1st. And then Atlanta goes and finishes the regular season in Harrison on November 7th. So there are windows that you're going to need to have either a keeper who's on a roll, or you're going to have that experienced number 2 keeper, as we refer to it in this situation. So there's going to be, in the schedule, there are windows where you're going to have schedule compression. You might have to look out for things, plus the other tournaments that you're going to be attached to. So keep an eye out for all that stuff. That is a part of this. But this is not a situation where it is you're bringing in the experienced guy and then Jaden Hibbert goes and sits. No, that's not this case. Lucas Hoyos is coming in to challenge, to mentor, and to see what happens. Because we've seen what Jaden brings to the table. This is not a situation where Jaden gets moved. His contract is too attractive in a cap league to shift anything like that. So that's and since it was a free, as the point was made by Joe, it is literally, look, you're not spending any kind of money to bring him in. It's just signing him to a deal, bringing him into camp, see what happens. So you're looking at that as your rundown. And to Ricky's reminder, once again, Hoyos, 1-year deal, options for 2 and 3. So that's what you're staring at. So morning fork card. Glad you're here. Merry New Year. And so you're looking at those salary figures that are attached. Once again, remember, cap league, Hoyos is in on a 1+1+1, and Jaden got picked up for what his number was. So like I said, back in September, he was a cap friendly 80,622, and so that's a no-brainer. That was a no-brainer to try and to re-up Jaden Hibbert to look at what's there. And so our friends from Spot Track, they lay it all out for you. In 25, 80,622, and that's what the number is. According to Spot Track, that's the number. And obviously you can renegotiate it if you feel that you want to or need to. But right now, that rookie min deal with those 3 option years, that's where Jaden Hibbert's locked in, 80,622. That's the kind of number that you like. You like young players on early contract numbers, first set of contracts. And so that's what you like. You like having that 80,622. That's what his number is in 26. And that's what the number would be in 27 and 28. But I would imagine that if he continues to go on the growth track that he's on, that 80,622 would increase, and it would increase, to 6 figures or what have you. But right now, that number that Jaden Hibbert's on, 80,622, locked in right there at 80,622. So that is a salary figure that you dig. You dig those kind of numbers. So we'll keep an eye on Hoyos as he comes in to see what it all looks like. And so Lucas Hoyos, 36, comes in from Newell's, and he is a part of keeper camp as we get ready for the 26th season. So that's very, very. So once again, you're adding players, and you're getting that much closer to camp. Which, I mean, you're probably like a month away from camp. Your pitchers and catchers probably report in like 3 weeks, and then you go to camp. You start having camp and everything, and everybody sits there and goes, "Oh, okay, so hey, it wasn't that long," and it really isn't. Literally, season ends, and you're right back at it like in 6 weeks. So that's the that's the rundown for everything with Lucas Hoyos in the signing, as he now joins Five Stripes, and as we all know, Five Stripes don't stop. Right now, it is 20th minute, and it looks like it's raining. You know what's in Morocco. Senegal and Botswana are scoreless, and it is. It looks like it's a downpour. It really does. It really looks like a downpour. So Botswana, a 4-figure underdog in this. They were on the plus side of over 1,000 heading into this match, and so we'll see what it looks like with these two as we go. And it is pouring in Tangier. It is pouring right now. So goalless Senegal, Botswana. It is game 2 of 4 here in the match day 3 of AFCON here in 2025. Okay, as promised. Now that the Lucas Hoyos signing is in the barn, we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll let you know what's going on. As promised, it is a time for catching up with the number 2 overall pick in the MLS SuperDraft that just passed. And it's an opportunity for a Georgia Southern Eagle to head out to Dallas and find out what it's going to be like to be under Eric Quill and his system, and what it's going to be like for Ricky Lewis to go from Fort Myers, Florida, to Statesboro, Georgia, to Dallas, Texas, or to Frisco, Texas, and find out what it's going to be like being the number 2 pick in the Super Draft. We had a great conversation with him yesterday, asked about draft day, asked about Georgia Southern, asked about all the things. And here's our conversation with Ricky as he gets ready to catch his breath a little bit before the next stage in his career takes off. Here's our conversation with the number 2 draft pick overall in the 2025 MLS SuperDraft, heading to FCD, Georgia Southern's Ricky Lewis. I think. At least I thought it was. Now I'm hitting all kinds of things. All right, so much for that idea. So I guess what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to add it again. And so, I mean, I tease it and then absolutely just sit there and it's just like, nope, not happening. And so we go from there to here. We'll see what happens. If I upload it, does it happen? Does it exist? So traditionally, Ricky, when I'm on the sidelines and I'm doing games or whatever, one of the things that they always tell us never to ask when something is completed is, how does it feel? You know, how does it feel to have done this? I'm going to put $1 in the jar and understand that I violated sideline reporter law number 1 and go ahead and ask, now that the draft is over, how does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, it still hasn't hit me yet, but it's just amazing. Like right now, like everything I dreamed about is coming to reality. The hard work, like it's crazy. Like I still waking up knowing like, wow, like you're gonna be a pro is still like crazy to me. So yeah, I feel great. I feel excited, and like I've been saying this like from the start, like I'm just ready to work.
Take me through draft day. And I mean, did you have any ideas? Were you married to your phone? Were you trying to figure out where were you watching things? How were you keeping a track of everything? Take me through draft day, which ended up being very short for you, but take me through draft day and your prep.
Yeah, so I mean, I was talking to my agent Mike from Octagon, and he kind of gave me a heads up of where I was gonna get drafted, but it kind of went over my head. My mentality was like, honestly, like wherever I go, you know that they obviously want you for a reason. You're gonna go show your talents, and you're gonna be the best, or hopefully a legend in that club, and you're gonna do the best you can. So I was just coming in, trying to get everyone in my family situated, everyone comfortable. I'm a little bit nervous, but like I know, like you did this, like you already did the hard part. So the easy part is just waiting and sitting there, like where your career starts off. So yeah, like I wasn't even on my phone yet. I was just like trying to get everyone settled in, trying to make sure everything's right. And then once it started getting close, I was looking at my phone. I looked at the time. I was like, wow, it's getting close to draft. So obviously, I did a live stream because you know how MLSs are. They want to do it online now. So I try to find a little live stream, and there was this guy called Kick a Ball Pod. They were doing like a live stream. They were like, guys that are really into like soccer, MLS, and all of that in the college world. So they were doing like the MLS draft on their end. So I was just like, might as well do it there. Get the entertainment, get some type of feel that you got accepted. So yeah, I was on the live stream. We waited and we were watching. They were talking a little bit, and they announced the first pick, which was the center back from NC State, which is congratulations to him. And then yeah, like I was just waiting still. And then I got a notification from my agent, like, you did it, man. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, go look at Twitter. I look at Twitter, and then I just completely drop. Like I drop and I just like lose it. And I'm like, wow. So my first pick, I saw Atlanta pick me. So I was just like, you know what? Like, we'll take it. So I got excited. I cried. I was super excited. My mom was shocked. My dad was so happy. Everyone celebrated for me. And then, yeah, I just wanted to wait to see if they were announcing. And then I was waiting, and then I just heard like Ricky's going to Atlanta. Oh wait, he got traded. So I was like, wait, what? I was confused. So I was like, wait, huh? What's going on? And then I heard I got traded to Dallas, and I heard they spent a lot. So I was like, wait, what's going on? And yeah, like I saw Dallas. They called me. They called me, and I was just like, thank you. Like, I appreciate you guys. Like, I'm just ready to work. And we celebrated. We were just talking about like memories. I had Drip FC come down and interview my friends and family, how they meet me and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just a surreal like feeling, like knowing that how my career went from different pathways to now. It went amazing, and I'm just excited.
What have the conversations initially been like with Dallas? When are they telling you that you got to get your plane ticket? What are they telling you so far about when you got to show up and all that?
Yeah, they were just talking to me. I was talking to their sporting directors and all that, and they were just saying like, thank you. We're excited to have you here. I'm leaving January 10th to be there, so I'm super excited. And yeah, I'm just excited to work.
Does it seem like it was yesterday that you were bailing out of Fort Myers High School and going to Statesboro, or does it seem like it's been 2 years of hard work, your freshman and sophomore years at the Boro, to get you to this point?
Yeah, it was freshly like 2 hardworking years. So actually, when I first, got found and signed with Georgia Southern, like I was basically a walk on. I took a gap year actually. So when I was going, I was talking to Lee. He was like, he's excited to have me here, but I think you should come in the spring. So I want you to take a gap year. And as any other kid, I was confused. Like I was wondering why. Like if you feel like I'm ready, I'm ready. And he told me, like I look back on now, and it was only probably like the best decision I made in my career. He just thought like how the season's going and how like the people they have, it just wouldn't look best for me. So he wants me to get that polish up development more. So I went to an academy called Strive. The head coach was Christian Nagu, who used to work at UNC Chapel, and he helped us. He trained us, and he showed us all the ways of the college soccer ball. From the practices, from how the games are, and how to polish our touches. In the games like that, and we played a couple of decent teams like MLS Next teams, and it was fun. So yeah.
When you go from freshman to sophomore year, you scored, I think it was 4 your freshman year. Then you finish up with 9 plus 3 and 21 points as a sophomore. How do you think your game improved from freshman year at Southern to sophomore year at Southern to where you end up going second overall?
Yeah, I think I still look back at it now. I thought my freshman year was decent. I mean, I feel like still to this day, if I could rewind and take it back, I would. Yeah, I mean, right after my freshman season, I really told Lee, like, right after the game, like, after the season was over, like, hey, I want to work. Like, I wanted to, like, this is my passion. I want to work. So he was just telling me in the spring, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a plan for you, and we want you to succeed. So literally on in the spring, I was just training every time after sessions, training by myself, getting the extra work in, extra finishes after training sessions. And that's all I wanted. And he gave me the opportunity, saying like, if you want to go pro, you got to get in the uncomfortable side of it. So he sent me out to USL2 Lionsbridge, which was amazing. I ended up playing left wing back, so that was embarked of a new journey. And I scored a lot of goals over there, and it was really fun. Like, I enjoyed it. And then just that killer mindset, knowing that I needed to make a update for my freshman season, because I felt like it wasn't much respect into me a little bit, because I thought obviously my freshman year was different. Of soccer, it was physicality, and but it was a little bit of comfortability. It's just I didn't have that mentality of wanting it, and I knew my sophomore I wanted it more. So
you end up going with 9 goals, first team All Sun Belt, midseason watch list on the Herman. National Offensive Player of the Week for both top drawer and the Sun Belt for the activity that you had late in September, when you get both goals over number 4 Marshall, then academic honor roll. For someone who hasn't seen Fun Belt soccer, how would you break down how competitive the conference can be and how it improved you from your freshman to your sophomore year?
Yeah, my freshman year, it was definitely the speed of play, the physicality, and then just the different talents from different countries. I was for my first game, my first preseason game. I still remember it. I was nervous, first time being in the college field, having my friends and family there, and the first time I touched the ball, I just like felt like my legs were noodles. Like, I never played the game of soccer ever in my life. And luckily I had the opportunity to play with my friend Harvey from home. And me and him basically kind of play the same. We know we're confident players. So when I saw him like enjoying it, doing what he was used to, I knew like if he could do it, then I could do it. So just more of the confidence side of not being worried about other people. And I just grew more confident. And I would say that there was a little bit of not that much hunger my freshman year. It was more like trying to understand the system and understand how college soccer is, with just different players, players that been in the pro like MLS, and it's just different there. So that's why I wanted to train more in my sophomore year, and I just got the hunger to score more, and I just saw every time I felt like in a position, I knew I could score. I knew I was just a good player that I wanted to be, and just using the abilities that I was good at, which was my pace, my dribbling, and a little bit of my strengths.
You got into it a little bit, but for someone who is a fan of FCD, is learning more about Major League Soccer, for someone who hasn't seen you play from your time there at Southern, how would you break down the kind of player that you are heading into this new chapter?
Yeah, my coach, I feel like, as a striker and a winger, my coach loves to use this word, like, I'm annoying to the back line, basically. Like, I'll never stop running. I'll press you. I know when I get the ball, I'm always going at you. It will never be a decision to ever go back. I'm always coming at you. And I'm just making you uncomfortable in any shape of way. If that's running in behind, if that's pressing you, if that's 1v1, just any shape of way to be annoying.
Have you always been annoying, or did you develop into being annoying with your?
Yeah, I felt like I've always been annoying outside of soccer, but I mean, I felt like I've always been that type of player that's just been a nuisance to the back line. I've always been taught like just try to make everyone uncomfortable. So I want to be that player where you got to check your shoulders at every like point of time. Wondering where I'm at, trying to make sure that not to get the ball, and just be a nuisance.
How much more annoying can you get?
Well, with the development, I'm probably gonna get probably the most annoying player in the league, probably.
Nothing like being an MVP and annoying, though, but that's what I imagine that's what Eric and the staff at FCD are looking for.
Yes, sir.
Have you had any initial conversations with him? What has that been like? Have you guys?
Yeah, I've talked to him. Outside of the thing. He was on a cruise actually, so it was interesting. But yeah, he wanted to call me. He was saying he was really excited. He was telling me that they've been looking at me for a long time, and I've been seeing on social media that I'm their guy. So it's a lot of a little bit of work that I got to show, but I'm excited. Honestly, like I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful and glad that they see this opportunity. And, from a guy who hasn't been playing in the like MLS or any MLS academies for a club like Dallas to see me and really believe that I can really be a change in their club is really exciting.
So, how difficult is it slash was it for you to balance the academic and the athletic side? Because if you're academic honor roll, that means your nose is in a book and it's in a lot of books and you're trying to get your credit hours and everything. So, how difficult was it to juggle all the time that you were investing in yourself athletically to get to this point of your life, but at the same time be academic honor roll? How tough is that?
It's a little bit tough, hard, especially when you're winning a lot of games and you're trying to still be in that mojo. But you also know that still school will always be first before anything because outside of soccer, when it's done, then you know that you have another job to be going at. It's been a little bit difficult, but I just feel like with time management, organizing stuff, it'll be a little bit easier. I've always been in like the study hall in our school, just making sure how quick I can, finish my work. Obviously, try to finish it at the best grade I can, so I don't have to worry about it during like game hours. I would probably go in that study hall like 2 days before a game, try to finish those, so my mind is clear the day before or the day of the game, so I know when I'm ready. I'm ready.
What else do you think you need to work on so you can be ready at the next level? Because I know that you mentioned that growth from freshman to sophomore year, everything that happened in the sophomore year there in the Boro, but now it's a different ball game. What do you think you still need to work on and improve on yourself, you think?
Yeah, I think I definitely need to improve on my discipline. I'm very a passionate guy. Like I know that I want to try my hardest and be the best player I can, but my emotions can lead to the wrong. So I feel like if I just with composure and have patience, that would be better. And then just making sure like time management could always be better. Just making sure that everything is just in line. You're not forgetting anything, and not being late to stuff, being extra an hour early, and just doing the right things.
Have you always been that fiery emotional type when you're out there on the pitch? Have you always been wired that way?
Yeah, I just feel like I always want everyone. I feel like everyone wants to win, but I take winning very passionately. Like I want to win as hard as I can. I want to make sure that everything I do is try to be right or make sure my gameplay is wrong. But I very take losses very well. I'm starting to learn how to take losses more, but I try to just do the best I can and make sure that help my team win, and that's all I really care for.
When you have questions about how things are going for you on the field, training, discipline, all those kinds of things, who is, and you can mention names if you want, or you can just mention numbers of folks that you have on a speed dial. How many folks can you reach out to in a moment's notice to sit there and say, okay, I got a question about this. I got a question about this. Am I too hot headed here? Am I being too much of a nuisance? When do I dial it back? When you have questions about yourself and your growth, who do you go to get those answers and feedback?
Yeah, I feel like with soccer, I feel like with George Southern, all my coaches, would be on speed dial for me. They know that I really care about this sport. So they would help me in different ways, how to relax my emotions because there would be moments of time where I let my emotions take over my game, and they would help me out like knowing that, there's still there's still time in the game. Like there's always time in the game. Like just because you made a mistake doesn't mean it's the end of it. So just try to forget it and then carry on and make something happen. And then maybe outside of soccer, probably like another three with my teammate KP. He's always been there since day one. Since I first got there, he's helped me out. He showed me the ropes. He shows me how it is. He shows me the area. And, he showed me on and off the field, like how to just control my emotions and, just be a better person.
What's it like to get that kind of feedback where you sit there and you're wired one way and you think that's the way you're supposed to be, but then somebody comes up and taps you and goes like, just kind of dial it back a little bit? Because I know that we take our personality seriously and we don't want to deviate from what makes us successful. But then you got somebody, like KP, who sits there and kind of goes, you kind of need to like dial it back a sec. What's it like to get that kind of feedback that you think might be counterintuitive, but does end up helping you out?
Yeah, I feel like it's really good. I mean, when I was a kid, I was never really a type of person to talk about my feelings and talk about a lot of things in my life, which I would try to keep it myself and deal with it. But I've been learning more now to just like communicate and talking to people could be the best options. Yeah, it's been great having someone to kind of like, either understand how I'm feeling and trying to like reel it down to a more, peaceful and sensitive type of topic. So I'm really glad that I have some people on my shoulders that can really help me out in any different type of moments.
So KP, if memory serves, didn't he get picked by NYC?
Yes, sir, he did.
So what was that conversation like with you and KP? It's like, so you're heading to the Bronx and I'm heading to Texas. What was that conversation like?
Yeah, like it was really good. Like from the way he started his career, like I called him, I told him like I'm so proud. Like from day one, you've been here at the school, like from the ground up, and like I'm so proud of you. Like you deserve this. You worked hard, and yeah, we were just talking about like what's the next step looking like, how we're gonna polish things up, what's our mindset's gonna be like, how we're like this is our lives now, like, and we got to make sure like we can take the most of it as much as we can.
Obviously, this is probably one of the best Christmas presents you could have ever gotten, going number 2 overall. Um, how do you how do you top this at Christmas? Is everybody sitting there going, "You're buying gifts now"? No, you're the one who's going to be paying for dinner. What's Christmas?
Yeah, it's been a lot like that. Most of them have been saying like we're going to Dallas, so that's been the most funniest topic that we're all going to Dallas. But yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, they know that I was kind of the ticket to to do that. But yeah, it's been all jokes and vibes. It's been funny when they be saying that. So yeah.
Well, congratulations. Obviously, we've been following what's been going on there in the Fun Belt down in the Borough the last couple of seasons. Congratulations on the new bio blast that's going to be added to it with everything happening in Dallas. Thanks for dropping by the morning show in SDH. You know we're going to be keeping an eye on you. You know we're going to be ringing you up pretty well. Thanks for dropping by as always.
Thank you so much.
And that is the conversation that we got to have with Ricky Lewis. And so Ricky Lewis, audio only is off. Everyone can, yes, okay, thank you. I was like, wait a second, what did I not do? Ricky Lewis, number 2 overall pick in the Super Draft, heading to Dallas. And so from Georgia, from basically high school, gap year, freshman year, sophomore year, now he got drafted number 2 overall. We can't thank our friends Edwin Pintor and Raul Hernandez and everybody at FC Dallas for letting us do that on the quick turn. And so the number 2 pick in the Super Draft from Georgia Southern, heading to FC Dallas and Ricky Lewis. So welcome back to SDH AM on the live side of things. Senegal has scored. Nico Jackson in the 40th minute just happened while we were away at the tail end of the first half, halfway through the 42nd minute. Senegal leading Botswana by the score of 1-0. And so let's roll you through once again how things are looking today. After this one, 12:30, Nigeria, Tanzania. Nigeria minus 233. Tanzania plus 769. Your draw is a plus 305. Tunisia at 3 o'clock in Uganda. Tunisia minus 149. Uganda plus 500. And your draw is a plus 234. So let's get you into what else is going on, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We'll get into all of the other news and everything. Injuries are necessitating bidding wars, and it looks like there's one winner, and it might be Bournemouth. Well, actually, 2 winners: Bournemouth and Antoine Semenyo. We'll get into that in a second. So, being in Espanol has your quadruple header for AFCON today. If you don't have BN, you can get BN at Fnatis, fntz.co/soccer down here, and you can add BN and all the stuff that BN has. It is the Polish League, it is Liga, it is AFCON, it is a lot of different leagues that are plugged into BN. You can get BN in Espanol. You can get Liga 1 Max, Liga 1. You can get TVV, TIC, CDO for the fans, Gold TV with our buddy Nino Torres, who was active yesterday in calling the Benfica match while the Kansas City Chiefs were moving to Kansas. So Gold TV in English and Spanish, CDO 1, CDO 2, TVV, and all the live events that are attached. You're seeing Tigo Sports that's attached to them. You're also seeing CATV that's attached. So you can get a bunch of different things at Fnatis, and you can add another batch of stuff into your streaming services and watch AFCON. You can watch, like I said, AFCON wall-to-wall. You can watch that on Fnatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. It helps them out, helps us out, helps you out. So there you go. Also, today it is the Primera. Vitoria Guimarães and Sporting, that is at 3:45. Sporting is trying to find a way to get closer to the top of the table right now. That ain't happening. So Victoria Guimaraes and Sporting, that's at 3:45 on Gold TV. Paramount Plus has League Cup. That is today. It is Arsenal and Crystal Palace, and that is at 3 o'clock, and you can catch that once again on Paramount Plus or however you stream that particular device. So that is TV news. Televisa Univision, once again, it comes out that they are dominating U.S. soccer viewing. The end-of-year release from Televisa Univision reported that Univision, Unimas, TUDN, and VIX captured 71%. So basically just under 5 out of every 7 events in primetime soccer, 50% of the sport's total day viewership in 2025, 6 of the top 10 soccer matches in 25, regardless of language, and Liga MX accounted for 7 of the top 10 highest-rated club matches of the year. Univision's most watched match of the year, Gold Cup final, USA and Mexico, that had 3.8 million total viewers. Other quick news domestically before we head on to the news of the day. Looks like the Denver Summit Soccer Stadium is approved another hurdle. It is voted 10-3 series of measures that are going to allow the Summit to build the stadium, according to the Denver City Council. Rezoning at Santa Fe Yards and a $70 million intergovernmental funding to purchase land and pay for work on a pedestrian bridge. Summit's building a temporary home in suburban Centennial while their 14,500-seat stadium being constructed. Going to play their first season next year. Santa Fe Yards expected to open in 2028. Delays in the approval had the Summit talking with 4 unnamed cities about seeking an alternative. Council member Sarah Parody, according to Soccer America, who voted against it, told the Denver Gazette early estimates of the cost of construction were 150 to 200, but now it could cost more than $300 million. So that's what you're looking at with the new Denver Soccer Stadium. We are now into 3 minutes of added time. Senegal still hanging on to the 1-0 lead, and that is a set-piece opportunity now for Botswana in an attempt to equalize, and so we'll see what happens there as we go. We mentioned injuries and stuff happening overseas, and it looks like Bournemouth and Antoine Semenyo, they may end up being the benefactors of the injuries of others. Chelsea, according to David Ornstein, have now made an initial inquiry about signing Antoine Semenyo in January. Chelsea had planned to sign a new forward in the summer, but have now contacted Semenyo's camp about conditions for a deal. They are one of a number of clubs interested in the Ghanaian, whose contract with Bournemouth runs until 2030, has a £65 million release clause in January. Chelsea did not spend on a forward in the summer when Xavi Simons was under consideration from RB Leipzig before eventually joining Spurs, but they did sign Facundo Buonanotte on a season-long loan from Brighton. Tottenham made an inquiry for Semenyo in the summer. Manchester United also among the suitors, according to Ornstein. Athletic reported in the transfer deal sheet in December that Liverpool was also interested as well. It was 8+3 in 16 Premier League appearances, valued at £70 million by Bournemouth in the summer. Sale price for the winner is now formally set at 65. Has to be activated by a specific date, which would give Bournemouth a couple of weeks to replace their best player. I think it's the middle of the month of January. You have the first 2 weeks of January to let them know if you're serious, which then gives Bournemouth the chance to find a replacement for Antoine Semenyo, with assuming that capital would be a part of that. So if Bournemouth can keep people away from Semenyo, it's available once again, and that happens in the summer in the coming months. Corner by Botswana, and a header just misses the far post, and it ends up as a goal kick. So Bournemouth once again sold. It was Dean Houston to Real Madrid in May. It was Kirkesh, Zabarnyi, and Dongo Ouattara. Dominic Solanke had a £65 million provision, and he left to join Spurs. And so that's where keep an eye on Antoine Semenyo, because it probably is going to be maybe another couple of weeks that Antoine Semenyo is going to be at Bournemouth. And from there, I'm intrigued to see who's going to sit there and make a deep dive into Antoine Semenyo and how much of a bidding war it's actually going to be. I'm anticipating a rather large bidding war for Antoine Semenyo as we go forward here. Halftime It is now halftime in Tangier, and it is Senegal with a 1-0 lead on Botswana as they go to break. So that's the one that's active right now. Arne Slot this morning at his press conference has accused Mickey Van de Ven of the reckless tackle, a reckless tackle that fractured Isak's leg. And it has now come out that it was a fractured fibula that was a part of that tackle in the Liverpool Spurs match. And so now Arne Slot has criticized Mickey Van de Ven. We talked about it yesterday on Cards and Calls. You can go back and listen. He called it a reckless challenge that left Isak with a fractured leg. And now they're going to be without Isak for probably 2 months. And I am no comparison athletically by any stretch of the imagination, but when I fractured my fibula, I was in a cast for 8 weeks. They look at it after 4. And obviously, when I fractured my leg back in the late 1780s, we did not have things like electronic stem treatment and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it was 4 weeks. They looked at it, took the cast off, put another cast on. It was another 4, and then it was back up and running. And then it's up to me to figure out how long my own rehabilitation was and what I did for it. So I quit riding bikes. That's one thing I did. So Isak had surgery on Monday to repair the ankle injury that included a fractured fibula. And so Arne Slot was wondering why the tackle went unpunished. As Bart was on yesterday looking at Cards and Calls, Bart thought it was a card, did not think it was a red because of the context of the situation. Arne Slot said it was a reckless challenge. I've said a lot about the tackle of Xavi Simon, which for me was completely unintentional. I don't think you'll ever get an injury out of a tackle like that, but the tackle of Van de Ven, if you make a tackle like that 10 times, there's a serious chance the player gets a serious injury. Slot expects Isak to feature before the end of the year, admits the injury is a major setback. Quote, I'm confident he can play a part in the season. It's been a really challenging and difficult period for him. Joined a new club. Very excited. You want to show immediately all the qualities you have, but that was simply impossible. Maybe no one understands, but if you've not trained for 3 or 4 months on a serious level with the team and you're playing in this league, you need to be on top of your game to impact the game. That took, as we all knew, months before we could bring him there because there was no preseason, just games, no time to train. We always knew it would take him time, and that's why he is so unlucky that he's now injured, because we all saw with his goal at West Ham, with this goal, meaning the one against Spurs, got closer and closer to the player he was last season at Newcastle. Connor Bradley also injured in the win, rated 50-50 to return against Wolves on Saturday. Cody Gakpo may be involved against Wolves, having missed the past 3 games with a muscle issue. Joe Gomez and Wataru Endo remain on the sidelines. Of course, you're also playing Wolves. So, anything is possible with Wolves. And so intriguing to say the very least. All right, so let's see. I'm trying to sit here and no word yet on Patson Daka. We assume he's okay. Word came out after his header that got the draw yesterday with Zambia and Mali. Now, I want to double check really quickly here. So Patson Daka, and if you saw the video, he lands on his head, and he lands literally on his head, and it was sideways, and it was not pretty. No word on stayed down for a couple moments, got up to celebrate, but there's no word on any kind of injury. And so he, after the match, says, I want to apologize to Aubameyang for thinking it was easy. I don't know how he does this every time he scores. So paid Oma, and people are doing all kinds of memes and everything. So landed on his neck, avoided serious injuries, and so you have AFCON off and running on match day 2. Like I said, we're halfway through match number 2, match day 3, and we got 2 more matches to go after this one later today. So hang on just a second. Me do this. I'm going to hide. Sorry, lack of hydration. So you look at everything in that, and so once again, I think we're wrapped up a lot in with what's going on in the obviously we're wrapped up a lot in what's going on with AFCON right now. It's going to take up a lot of the day. Big question is, and this is probably for Drew Dickinson more than anybody else, how are you going to replace Bruno Fernandes in the short term? If you're Manchester United, that's going to be a large question. And so I am intrigued as to what the approach is going to be for Ruben Amorim and what it's going to look like for them. Obviously, Diogo Dalot says the injury is a massive blow for Manchester United. And so now you've got to figure out what you're going to do with your lineup and who's going to be the catalyst for that offense. Because Brian Mbeumo right now, he is at AFCON. Now you lose Bruno Fernandes. What's the lineup going to look like here on the weekend and going forward? What is it literally going to look like for Manchester United? We'll see if Drew Dickinson comes up with a 3D and answers these kinds of questions, because inquiring minds do want to know what the ideas are going to be for Manchester United because of where they are on the table and how things are somewhat turning around under Ruben Amorim. And, what's it going to look like? Is Kobe Mainoo, does his time increase? Does the injury to Bruno Fernandes make it that much more difficult for Kobe Mainoo to leave? Because he's going to be wanted to contribute now, as opposed to is he on? Is he off? Is he not playing? Is he playing? Is he on the bench? Is he, So those questions might have been somewhat answered in the short term anyway. And it's an opportunity for Mainoo to raise his stock to be more desirable even after the season is over, even more desirable than he would be right now. So it's once again, it will be intriguing for Manchester United. Once again, soft tissue issue for Bruno Fernandes, and is going to be missing a couple of games as of right now. Withdrawn at halftime of that Villa defeat, he will not be available for the Boxing Day match against Newcastle. You have Wolves, Leeds, Newcastle in how many 30 days has September, April, 30, 9 days. You got 3 matches in 9 days, and you have 4 matches in 2 weeks. Newcastle and Wolves at home, not necessarily anything to have. The Wolves match specifically, not really a whole lot to worry about. But then you go to Leeds. You go to Ellen Road on the 4th. You go to Turf Moor on the 7th. I still think you're okay. Then you go, you have Brighton come in to Old Trafford for the 3rd round of the FA Cup on the 11th. And then you have Manchester City back in Premier League play on the 17th. So that's the next 6. I think you're going to be okay. I think the Newcastle match is going to be a bit of a concern. Wolves, not really. Leeds, they can be a pain when you've got to go to Ellen Road. Burnley at Turf Moor, not so much. Brighton FA Cup, the FA Cup is what the FA Cup is to you, and to each his own. At this point, figuring out what the FA Cup's going to be like. And then Manchester City at home, Manchester Derby on January 17th. And Ruben Amorim said, not going to say we need a lot of players because we have a plan. Not going to go to the club and ask for that because we have a plan. If we need to suffer, then the club comes first. You can feel in this moment we are going to suffer, but we'll see. Amorim said he thought it was a soft tissue issue, but he doesn't know at the stage when he was asked how long Bruno Fernandes is going to be out. Think he'll miss some games, but for the moment, that is it. Don't really want to talk about these matters because we can't control him. He is someone who's usually fit. When he isn't, he usually recovers well. So you end up with Ruben Amorim not wanting to fuel the fire of any future opponent by saying, yeah, Bruno Fernandes will be out for XYZ or whatever. You're not doing that. You don't want to do that. And so he's like, well, I don't want to talk about it. He's not here. We'll focus on us. I think you're going to get a lot of that from Ruben Amorim in the coming weeks. 308 appearances for Fernandes since joining United in 2020. Missed only 2 games because of injury in his entire career. Knee problems at the end of 23-24. Unai Emery once again refused suggestions that his men are in the title conversation after Morgan Rogers' brace in the matchup against United, moving them to 3 points within the leaders. And now there's a lot of talk that Morgan Rogers needs to have an increased presence for Thomas Tuchel. And so they're saying he's too good. He needs to be a part of everything. So we'll see if Thomas Tuchel makes a point to go, well, you know what? I think that we ought to sign so-and-so. And we ought to have so-and-so available for our we ought to have so-and-so available for international team duty. And so we'll see if that does happen with Tommy Too Cool for School. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. Rangers want Josh Windass from Wrexham. Wrexham are like, no, we don't want to loan him out. So, well, what's it worth to you? Rangers are trying to find a scorer. Wrexham is trying to stay afloat in the championship. So I'm guessing that's going to end up being a no. According to our buddy Ben Jacobs, Chelsea had always downplayed entering the race for Semenyo until they've actually considered an approach in the last few days. Initial inquiry has been made. Manchester clubs viewed as front runners, and Liverpool obviously assessing after November and the contact that was made there. So those are the two big stories. So the Semenyo release clause is only valid for the first 10 days of January. It was 5 days off. So you've got to make a play for Antoine Semenyo if you are wanting to grab him from Bournemouth with that release clause. You got to do something between January 1 and 10, because then what that does once again is that gives Bournemouth the opportunity to try and find a suitable replacement and probably reinvest the rest, because they're not going to drop 65 or 70 to get someone to take over for Antoine Semenyo. They're going to find the next person that fits that equation, underappreciated asset, etc., and ready for a jump to the Premier League, and then you'll continue to reinvest that way. So if this does in fact go down, that you have somebody named Antoine Semenyo leave Bournemouth for a fair price, what does that fair price do in the interim? That to me is the larger point. Is so what happens with the money that comes in? What do they do to reinvest it? Where do they reinvest it to? And what's it look like? So that's the that to me is the other part of this. Catching up on a couple of things in Major League Soccer, Austin finalizing a deal to acquire Honduran left back Joseph Rosales from Minnesota United. It was worth $1.5 million in GAM. Minnesota getting a sell on, 128 apps for the Loons, and the trade might just be cash instead of GAM. Sell on fee 5%. Rosales off to Austin. Colorado Rapids. Speaking of the Rapids, finalizing a deal to sign Nigeria youth international defensive midfielder Hamzat Ojediran from Lens, fee around $3 million. Ball-winning defensive mid, 17 apps for the club last year, joining from Debrecen. Let's see. So what you're looking at from Colorado in the offseason, you got a new head coach in Matt Wells. You got Dante Seeley. You've got Ojediran, Noah Cobb, and Lucas Harrington joining after a summer deal. And this is after adding Paxton Aronson and Rob Holding in the offseason, or in the previous season. So you've got that. Dallas is finalizing a deal to sign Swedish wingback Herman Johansson from Mjölby. According to our friends at Fotbollskanal, had 7 + 8 in the Swedish in 30 top flight matches last year, and we all know what happened with Mjölby. We are checking and to have an interview with their new head coach, and we are tracking that down as we go. So we'll see what happens with Mjölby and everybody else. As what can Mjölby do for an encore? Intrigued. So Colorado officially has announced the hiring of Matt Wells as their new head coach. Uzbekistan has announced a World Cup tune-up June 1st versus Canada in Edmonton. And now it appears that DC United is trying to add a starting keeper. After bringing in Ty Baribeau and Sean Nealis, they now want to add a keeper. According to sources that have been talking to Goff, they're pursuing Sean Johnson. Declined his option of $1 million+, but remained in talks. So DC spending money? Question mark. I'm intrigued. Yeah, I'm intrigued by that. But would Sean Johnson go to another year on another really bad team? Would he? I don't know. I don't know if that would go down. And according to Taylor Twellman, DC United thought they had Dane St. Clair. I mean, that's kind of hubrisy. Yeah, we think we've got Dane St. Clair. Why would Dane St. Clair, unless he was getting paid, and I mean capital letters paid, and why would Sean Johnson, unless he's getting paid, capital letters paid, why would you go to D.C.? Okay, so you've added Ty Barabo and Sean Nealis. Is that going to make you better than last in the East? You still got defensive issues. Yes, you've added a center back in Sean Nealis. But would Sean Johnson go to D.C.? Would Dane St. Clair go to D.C.? Because that's some serious money that you'd have to invest. Once again, we're talking cap league here. So that to me would be intriguing at the very least if you were going to go down that road. So like I said, I would raise my eyebrow on that one. First off, that they thought they had Dane St. Clair, and now that they're chasing after Sean Johnson, I don't know. I just don't. I do not know. Arsenal and Crystal Palace, by the way, Carabao Cup, Gummy Bear Cup quarterfinals with Crystal Palace and Arsenal. Keep an eye on that today as well. So, let's see. Let me check the transfer center real quick. Let me see if there's any other updated things that we can get into quickly. Chelsea making their inquiry on Semenyo. Derek McGuinness refused to be drawn in on Hearts' pursuit of Dutch defender Jordi Altina. Hearts close to signing him. Understood a fee has been agreed by the clubs. Add-ons, sell-on, due for a medical. Hearts agreed in a pre-contract in the summer to sign Kazakh winger Islam Chesnikov. McGuinness hopes the 26-year-old will arrive in Edinburgh in the coming days to be involved against Livingston on January 3rd. That'd be a good rollout date considering that Livingston is awful this year. Rob Edwards playing down everything with transfer speculation, especially where folks want Jurgen Strand-Larsen. Rob Edwards is like, no, we'll take it case by case. Jurgen Strand-Larsen is so gone. They need to get something for him. They need to rebuild their assets for when they go back down to the championship. David Moyes moved to dismiss reports linking Dwight McNeil with a move away, insisting there is no plan for the winger to leave. Sean Dyche has attempted to ease expectations for the transfer window in a press conference. He says it's unlikely to be a big window. The club has shown that if the right people become available, it can happen. Considering the investment in the summer, I doubt we'll be spending a lot. That doesn't sound too optimistic. Sky understands Rangers are tracking left back Tua Romans. 22-year-old's been a regular at Westerlo in the Belgian Pro League, 78 starts past 2 years, 9 caps for Belgium's U21s. Josh Windass is 6+3 at Wrexham right now, and Rangers once again considering a move. Danny Roll wants to bring him back. I'm guessing that Wrexham's going to be like, nah, fam, appreciate the offer. And Altina, by the way, right now is playing at RKC Valvik. And so Ernest Slot was somewhat coy on what Liverpool might be doing in the window. Fabian Hartzler has dismissed rumors over at Brighton of a swoop for Harry Howell. Bayer Leverkusen interested in the 17-year-old, impressed with them at England's U17s, and Hertzler had to mention Howell by name in saying that they want to keep him. Start of the second half, 48th minute early, Senegal still leading Botswana by the score of 1-0. So that's where we are there with the action going on in AFCON. Once again, 2 matches after this. Yeah. Yeah, you ain't kidding. Lucky, yeah. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So let me say hi to everybody before we get out of here. Morning, Nick's glad to see you. Good you're back. Abby, good morning as always. Let's see. Who else I missed? Morning 4 card. Morning happiest of Joes. Welcome back, even as it is Christmas week. And watching on the Twitch. Morning Ricky. And let's see. Morning Rich, as we get to play, follow along on Twitter. So let's see. Morning Joe. Morning Abby. Abby was at the Home Depot. Hopefully she got everything squared away there. And so I'm trying to see if there's anybody else that I missed. So it's Nick's, and it's Joe, and it's Abby, and Rich Ransom, and I think we have somewhat fixed Colorado and what they're chasing after for their new Colorado Rapids brand. Don't change the name, just change the colors, maybe the design a little bit. Abby's got her movie tickets for Christmas Day. Chinese food's ordered. Willie's dropping off homemade monkey bread from friends and heading to the movies. So that sounds like a really cool day. That's a really cool day. Yeah. So tomorrow, just reminder once again, hotel room, Montgomery, Alabama, and we'll be there Wednesday and Friday. So tomorrow we catch up with AC Boise and find out about Marketing 101, what it's like trying to get stuff and get it right for a first-year franchise. We're going to catch up with them and find out how they're going. We're going to look at their jersey launch, and we'll find out through that prism what it looks like. And then also we're going to catch up with Nico Moreno, who's going to join us at 10:30. So AC Boise, you, me, AFCON, Nico at 10:30, going through everything MLS on Christmas Eve day. Once again, no show Thursday, and then we'll have a show back on Friday, finding out what we missed. And then Nino's going to join us at 10 o'clock on Friday morning, and that will be the week. That is another go-round of SDH AM. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. And once again, thanks to FC Dallas for letting us have Ricky Lewis for about 20 minutes yesterday. Great to catch up with him and find out how annoying Ricky gets to be when it comes to anything and everything going on as he gets ready for the next stage in his career with FC Dallas. So for everybody here at SDH, to all of you, once again, if you haven't had the chance, go back and look at Morning Espresso, whether in newsletter or video form, kind of get your day started, comes into us, goes into the rest of the day. So we'll keep you posted on everything here. You got AFCON, and it is still 1-0, and it's raining like you know what. And it was a dangerous play almost where it looked like somebody's trying to go for a side volley, and you had the keeper come out for a full-blown punch. I don't think there was any contact, but it looked dangerous at the time. And so 51st minute, Senegal leading Botswana by the score of 1-0. So since it is the end of the show, that means one thing. We got to do this. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha Plati. I'll be back once again on Christmas Eve day, 9:05, a little less than 22 hours. And since it is the end of the show, that means we get to do this. Back at it again tomorrow from the road. We'll see you there. Mucha Plati. Play it safe, stay dry, and look out for everybody else when you're shopping, and just keep your head down, and it'll all get done. Talk to you tomorrow.